Welcome to Finance in the Clouds. Modern finance is broken, forcing finance and accounting teams to work like it's 1985, the year Excel was invented. Here, we talk about the struggles finance teams face in fast-growing companies and discuss how they can spend less time catching up and more time in the clouds. I'm your host, Jake Jones, multimedia producer and brand influencer at Zone & Co., and I'm joined this week by two of our partners from Avalara. Again, George Padilha, Senior Strategic Alliance Manager, and Sam Blass, Sales Executive. Thanks for joining us again today, guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us back.
Thanks for having us, Jake.
Over the past few episodes, we've introduced the complexities of sales tax, talked about how it can easily get complicated for your business, and we've heard real-life examples of dealing with tax compliance. Along the way, we've hinted at hope for a solution, and today we are going to talk about how you can use technology to improve your sales tax compliance. George, Sam, I'm really glad to have you both back on for this finale episode on compliance. Before we start talking about some of the hope we've been alluding to in our other episodes, I do want to just give you guys again space to remind our audience who you are, who Avalara is, and what you guys do.
Of course, Jake, we're excited to be back. And yes, Avalara is a sales tax compliance cloud, helping our customers and prospective clients navigate the waters of sales tax, whether that's with research and services and or compliance automation. We integrate into thousands of ERPs and accounting systems, again, just to ease the burden that is sales tax compliance.
Again, my name is George Padilha. I work with Zone & Company. My job is to maintain that relationship with Zone and make sure that your clients are always taken care of, in the background, whether it's helping with an upgrade or if you have an implementation that needs some adjusting. I know a lot of people because I've been here almost 6 years. And fortunately, I love what I do. And I work very closely with Zone just to make sure that everything is running on all cylinders.
Absolutely. And we appreciate both of you and what you do for us here at Zone and how you help our clients and customers. And again, really glad to have you guys back. You guys kind of started this whole arc off talking about the complexities of sales tax. And now we have you back to talk a little bit more about the hope. So we've had some episodes talking about the complexities of sales tax and what it's like to struggle with compliance. And we've also talked a lot about hope for a better way. And that's what we're here to talk about today and really focus on. So let's start with the question, how can a company use technology to improve their sales tax compliance?
Jake, great question. Tying it back to episode 1, it's understanding your nexus. So that's where I would start. Leveraging a solution like Avalara allows a software to track your sales activities and any sort of future obligation to go and register and collect new sales taxes. We, in the first episode, talked about the complexities of local jurisdictions and aligning tax codes to zip codes, and there's not a clean overlap there. So leveraging a solution like Avalara allows you to get a little bit more granular detail in regards to a rooftop level calculation. So you're tracking your business activities for future expansion to ensure that you're collecting everywhere you need to. You're allowing a team of experts to manage the content, the rules, and legislations that go into these tax laws to accurately calculate your tax rates based on the products and services that you sell, and then automating the remittance of that back to the states as well. Let's allow our finance and accounting individuals to put out fires elsewhere and not bang their heads against the wall, filling out returns back to the states. Yes, there's some states returns that are very easy and simple, and then there's other complex returns that can take hours out of your day to manage that. So through the automation that Avalara can offer, that's really where the hope comes in. Let's just take it off the table, right? Let's sweep this pass-through activity that is sales tax. Let's take it off the table so we can focus elsewhere.
In terms of technology helping advance and solve your sales tax problems, Avalara really does a competitive advantage because we were built on the cloud and we do have real-time updates as sales tax changes happen. As I mentioned in the last podcast, there was 32,000 changes in the last couple of years alone. The reason why is because there's 12,000 different taxing jurisdictions. So by having us updated in the cloud, it just makes everything a little more fluid and a little easier. Not to mention the fact that we have over 1,000 connectors and bundles as well that can seamlessly connect a NetSuite ERP to something like a e-commerce store or a CRM like Salesforce. So we can connect everything seamlessly and have a full picture of a solution for you in automating sales tax.
I love that. I like how this is all brought back to automation, right? That this is such a complex thing. And as we've talked about in other episodes, there are so many facets to this, whether it's cross-border, whether it's the fact that sales tax is constantly changing. But the truth is that this is something that can be automated. And Sam, you brought up a great point. When we automate this, we take this off the table for your team. And so I want to talk about what is it like to live with seamless tax compliance, to have this process automated, and I guess really to dive deeper, like what opportunities does that open your business up to?
That's a great question. It all comes down to roles and responsibilities within the org. Client that I was working with was able to focus more so on customer issues in regards to billing. Hey, we accidentally billed this person incorrectly, right? And going and retroactively focusing on the clients in regards to the accounting and finance portion of those bills. And so instead of focused on, hey, I need to pull my liability report and detail out in this form to send it back to the state, down to the penny, down to the jurisdiction, and include all my local details. That's not much fun to do. I can tell you from experience, it's something that Avalara requires their sales executives to, hey, go feel what it's like to fill out these forms. And you can understand why folks are willing to invest a nominal fee to automate the remittance back to the states. And when it comes down to the collection portion, it's not having to constantly go back and report on where are our sales? Where did we sell our products last month? Okay, let's ensure that we didn't cross a new threshold in regards to taxes, right? By connecting a system that has the logic to track everything for you, it's something that is incapable by just a regular person unless they're spending a lot of time focusing on that data.
Jake, I would probably say, building off what Sam said, is 30 years ago, people had their payroll in-house. Now, fast forward to today, no one has that in-house. Why? Because it's a non-revenue generating activity. And I think it's safe to say that calculating sales tax, whether it's calculating sales tax, filing those sales tax returns, or managing those exemption certificates, are a lot more complicated than payroll. Have your finance department do something a little more productive, like streamlining your accounts receivable department or streamlining your accounts payable department, or trying to figure out a go-to-market strategy on a new product within a certain demographic. That's a more revenue generating activity that would be a little more beneficial to any of your clients.
George, I love how you brought that all together. Your finance team is currently focusing on a non-revenue generating practice of making sure we're compliant with all these sales tax. If we can take that away, they can really focus on more revenue generating activities. And I think that's such an excellent way to think about it. Are there any final tips you would share with a company who's maybe starting this sales tax compliant journey?
So for me, what I would suggest is that we have a lot of different solutions that can help you get into the door of automating. Now, whether or not you are ready to fully automate, or let's say you don't know, we have something called a sales tax risk assessment, to where we'll analyze exactly what your liabilities are in the states that you're doing business in. We'll do that as a service. Additionally, let's say you have liability, but you don't know what to do. You're kind of putting your head in the sand. So we also have a solution called voluntary disclosure agreements, to where we'll represent zoning companies' clients anonymously to these states and say, hey, we have a client that they know they owe money, they don't know what to do, they want to make things right. We represent them anonymously, and only up until we come to a written agreement do we actually disclose that client's information. And again, it's on a case-by-case basis. Obviously can't guarantee anything, but a lot of times we can get those penalties waived and a lot of that interest taken away. by offering that solution. And then we can actually move into, automating that sales tax, whether it's adding the Avatax to where we'll calculate your sales tax rates, or whether it's adding that exemption certificate piece. If you're managing over, I think it's about 300 exemption certificates, you really want to look at automating that. And then finally, the main part that we have is automating your sales tax returns. Now, let's say you don't need that Avatax and you're okay with native NetSuite or SuiteTax. We can actually add that sales tax returns portion to SuiteTax or native NetSuite and automate that process for you as well. So there's a lot of different solutions, but in terms of calculating Avalara through the Avatax versus native NetSuite, we have a couple of competitive advantages. And if it's complex in any way, shape, or form, then we would want to be part of that conversation, and then you can decide what's best for you.
You asked what's a tip for these companies, and it's not allowing sales tax to fall on the back burner. Companies are often streamlining processes and sales channels, and they're adding systems. Oftentimes they're allowing that tax conversation to fall on the back burner, and they're having to pull an audible or have a fire drill at the end of a project, when if they just would have had a tax discussion with a tax expert on the forefront, they could, align the track accordingly, attack any sort of issues, or make a change to the plan, the project plan, according to a tax requirement that it may be minute, but it may have a large impact on the overall project. So we're going to need to handle this quote to cash process differently because of maybe how our invoice is impacting taxability on that invoice, or how we're billing our client. There's just a multitude of areas that if you just would have had a conversation with a tax expert early, it would have avoided a lot of headache in the long run.
Well, Sam, George, thank you both again for being back on the show. This has been an awesome conversation about just how we can live with seamless sales tax compliance. I really hope that our audience has gotten some great tips out of this, and that they will, as you said at the end there, Sam, they'll look at sales tax on the front end and not let it be something that's on the back burner. So thank you both again for sharing your expertise. It's been great having you on 2 shows now. Maybe we'll have you on later in the future.
Jake, we'd love to come back anytime you'd have us. It's been fun talking sales tax with you. Hope your listeners do find this valuable as they navigate the complexities of sales tax. Avalara is here to help, and we're happy to partner with Zone & Company.
Thanks a lot, Jake. I appreciate it. Really love our partnership between Zone & Company and Avalara. Looking forward to many more years of working with you guys.
And now we want to hear from you. How are you dealing with the complexities of sales tax? Let us know by emailing hello@zoneandco.com. Finance in the Clouds posts bi-weekly on Fridays. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe to Finance in the Clouds wherever you get your podcasts, or watch us on YouTube on the Zone & Co YouTube channel. Be sure to visit zoneandco.com for articles and guides all about today's topic.